evening, everybody, or morning, afternoon, whenever. Second Lieutenant Asag Bro here, back with another episode. Quite a few things I figured I'd talk about today. It's morely going to be about financial suggestions and opinions. Not like telling you what stocks to invest in and all of that, but some important things that they don't hammer enough to officers and to, in my opinion anyway, and to younger military members, at least in a way that I heard. Granted, I'm 29, but before I jump into that, everybody on the East Coast, sorry, I know you've been slammed with a lot of snow, and I do not miss that being in California, but sorry, hope everybody's safe out there. I know my family's still there. But yeah, jumping right into the swing of things, I was about to get tongue-tied. Also, sorry, this video came a bit late. Was in a bit of an artistic slump. For one, work's been pretty heavy, which you will see, those of you getting into the operational side of the Air Force, is that deadlines are a thing, and you will always be, well, not always cutting it close, but you will always be getting information and work that needs to be done in way shorter time frame than it should have been. It's part and parcel with the territory, so get used to being under pressure often, more often than not, and more than you'd like to. But I'm still happy that are blessed and honored to be in the position. So I'm not complaining, but just do know that. So again, my apologies. Hopefully I'll be able to straighten them out more. And I know I keep saying that I do want to work on editing and music and whatnot, but yeah. On that note, a good thing, I have a buddy in one of the first videos that I linked over at the the Air Force Officer YouTube and Facebook channel. He's started another channel similar to my own where he'll talk about the OTS side of things, and I want to piggyback with him to make sure that I get all the editing information that I need, so hopefully these monologues will be a lot more enjoyable. I have the background music, I just got to learn how to put them into the damn videos. But yeah, enough about that, let's jump into it. So the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and sorry about the clutter, I'm in the middle of spring cleaning in March. I needed to sweep up a little bit, but I figured a lot of the stuff in my background will actually be pertinent to this episode. So taking care of yourself via budgeting. One of the very many accolades of being an officer in the military is that you get a very nice paycheck. The military does take care of its airmen, or the Air Force does take care of its airmen. The military does take care of its members of their respective branches. And as an officer, you are entitled to a bit more pay than an enlisted personnel. Well, you would by now, if you're in this process, you should be aware of how you are paid. But for those of you who do not, or for spouses or significant others, family, friends, and all of that, you're essentially paid. You're given a few monthly stipends. One for your BAH, your basic allowance for housing, I believe, and then your BAS, which is a basic allowance for subsistence, your essentially food, and I said a couple. I think that's actually it, to my knowledge. But those depend, or those change depending on your grade. So anywhere from an E1, which is the first rank enlisted member, up to an 09 or 010, which is a 4-star general. But 6, 7, 8, it would be an 010. Or technically 011, but that would be 5-star. I'm not sure how that works because it's not on the roster. Anyway, dependent on your pay grade, which is your military grade, and your years in service, and or your dependence status, whether or not you're single or married or you have children. So depending on, well, the charts are pretty much there. They're easy to Google. Just military pay chart, and then there would be one for every branch of the military, and then you would just go around to see exactly if you were to come in as an O1, assuming that you passed OTS or ROTC or any of the other commissioning metrics. You would come in as an O1, and depending on if you were enlisted or not, if you were enlisted, you would be an O1E, maybe, I believe. That just means that you're coming in as an officer, but you have had military background before, so they pay you higher than they pay someone like me who just came in from the civilian side, a bit more money, and then so on and so on and so on. And the reason why I'm getting through all that now that we're on the same ground stage is that now that I am here out alone, I'm filling that void that I've been telling you about in regards to silence. Oh, sorry. Let me go and mute that. I was told that. Thanks for bringing that up. I forget who, but somebody else mentioned that if I keep my tabs open in the background, it makes a loud noise, which is pretty annoying. So apologies, but I've muted it now. So anyway, one of the things that I wish I had, or not wish I had, the things that I've been doing to fill in the void is just buying stuff, because I know how to budget for myself. I'm remembering how to cook for myself. And since I am by myself, when I'm not here, everything's off. So my bills are pretty low, aside from student loans. And I am afforded the luxury of being able to splurge for myself from time to time. So hence you see a sword behind me and all of that. One of the cool things I just got, cool but funny, this thing on my lap, one of the things I wanted to show you is this Infinity Gauntlet from the upcoming Infinity War Marvel movie. I saw it online, and I just needed it because it does all this cool. So yeah, as you see, I needed this thing, and then you can move it around a little bit, and it's not like it's a product place. It's not trying to do product placement or anything, but clearly you can see a guy with a couple more dollars in his pocket. Probably best to avoid seeing that because you'll buy it for no reason. I've also trying to get back into my music. So here's a Gibson Les Paul, I guess beginner set. You know, one of those guitars that come with the speakers. I've only had quite a few guitar lessons, so hopefully I'll be able to pick that up and turn it into a little hobby or something. But anyway, the reason why I'm showing all of this, things that I've just gotten, well, that was actually a gift from my girlfriend, but the things that I bought, is that you don't want to start going down this snowball, a very easy trap to fall down, in that when you're pigeonholed, something that I brought up in I think my last two videos, if you're so focused on the fact that you're alone and that you just need to do stuff, you'll just buy whatever you can to placate you in that moment. There's so many things I've caught myself. I mean, I'm not going broke, not silly, but at the same time, I'm starting to buy those pop figures now, action figures, things I've never bought before, just so that I can go and spruce up the house, because I just don't want to be alone, even if it's by an inanimate object, even though Toy Story, you know. But yeah, you don't want to do that. So find a way to budget yourself. Practice on budgeting yourself before you get into this position. It will help you. Not that you haven't already. You can't sign up until you're an adult anyway. So by then you have some semblance of understanding. I'm forgetting the term, but you're not so careless or reckless. It's understood that you're wise enough to not make mistakes. But then people do make mistakes. You know, things happen. I could be here now and then, God forbid, some emergency befalls somebody that I know, and then I have to rush over there to help them, and then there goes my funds, you know. But you want to make sure to budget yourself. So whether it's in a savings account or you're investing wisely in the stock market, or you're learning a craft, something that will not cost, not will be cost effective, wherein you don't have to put too much into it, but the time management things that you will get out of it are good, like painting or something. Granted, music isn't the cheapest, but this was a little bit over $100 or so, and that'll give me hours and hours of things to do, so long as I stick with it. So you want to make sure to just not go buy frilly things. Like, I'm buying the sword. The sword is cool, Rurouni Kenshin, but when am I going to use it? So don't go crazy focusing on just getting things to be happy in the moment. Focus on things that will help you forever, in a sense. Sorry, let me go and mute this too, because my phone's gonna go off. That's crazy. Yeah, I touched pretty much on that. So yeah, when you do get to your first base or your next base or whenever, I do suggest going to the Airman Family Readiness Center. There should be one on every base. And you could just talk about, go to, maybe if you have the time, I mean, you better than me. If you're already aware of it, then you don't have to. But if you aren't, go and look into those seminars where they talk about how to best and utilize your finances and whatnot. Because it can only help you. I mean, if you're going to fall asleep, don't go. Don't be that person. But do pick up from it, and it will probably help you. I don't know myself. I should be looking into how to invest, and I'll be touching upon something similar to that in the next point. But don't just put your money in a bank account and plan for a trip ahead or something, but don't buy all this stuff. As cool as that glove is, but don't go crazy. Save for okay, so my next point is something, unfortunately, it's not going to be the most relevant to most new officers or military members in general, unless you are in my boat and you commissioned at the tail end of last year. And I mean, a little bit of it will be pertinent to anyone, but I'm speaking now largely to people who have commissioned to before, so apologies if this doesn't ring true for you. If you had commissioned into the Air Force or signed or enlisted into the Air Force, either or, last year, this was when they were doing the blended retirement system. So an issue that the military, and I can only speak on behalf of the Air Force, or in regards to the Air Force rather, because that's the only branch I've been in, you get a pretty good retirement package after putting in 20 years of service. But unless you have a thrift savings plan, which is kind of like a 401k, something like that, you put money in and then it would, save, and you'd gain money on it over the years as they would invest your money and all of that stuff. Where was I going with that? Yeah, if you would just do the 20 and then you would be done, and then that would be that. If you worked, or if you were active duty, I think it goes for reserves. If you were out of the military for anything under 20 years, you didn't get any retirement at all. You'd only get whatever you covered in your 401k. I don't know if there's any like bonuses or pluses that they give you when you do separate, but by and large, that was the biggest issue, is that people would be giving in 12 years and then they'd be done, or maybe you honorably discharged, maybe you due to a medical issue, or maybe somehow, God forbid, you got hurt and you can't continue. You didn't get anything or much of anything. So they introduced another plan, which was the blended retirement system, whereas now I believe you can get a retirement as soon as either 8 or 12 years, I forget what. The caveat is that instead of the 50%, I gotta get the numbers. I should have got the numbers. I apologize. But instead, in the BRS, you would get a retirement earlier than you would with the traditional retirement package. The caveat being that if you were in the blended, instead of getting 50% of whatever that salary was, you'd be getting 40%. But the military would match whatever you would put in your thrift savings plan, which is again your 401k, up to 5%. So if I put 5% of whatever my paychecks were into a savings plan, separate from whatever, so I'd be getting, say, $100, $5 would be going into that savings plan, and then the military will match up to 5%, so they would give me another $5. So that 5 that I took out from my 100, the military will give me a 5 on top of that, and that together would have been that 10%. So I gave in 5, they gave in 5. That 10% would be the 10% that I would have been getting in the traditional one. Sorry if I'm a bit confusing, but that's about the easiest way that I can manage it. Now the catch is, those of us who commissioned or enlisted last year had the choice of whether or not we wanted to choose between the blended and the traditional. Those of us who are commissioning or enlisting this year, 2018, from then on, you're automatically in the blended. So for those of you there in the blended, which would be, I'm assuming most newcomers, most new airmen, most new military members, I do strongly suggest putting in whatever you can, as much as you can, every paycheck into that thrift savings plan. It's only going to benefit you. That money that you put into the TSP, you can take out and roll over into your next job. So the great thing about the military is 20 years, even if you were thinking about full retirement, 20 years full retirement type thing, you're not going to be old when you're done, essentially. For me, I'd be 49. I can still get a couple of years and a good decade or two in another job, and I would be getting 2 pensions, essentially. Assuming that I worked in that one for however long I would need to. Conversely, if I were to be in the blended, if I choose, because I'm still thinking, if I'm going to be in the blended, I can now take that matching percent. I could roll that into on whatever my other job is going to be. I would get retirement from the military. If I stayed at that other job for however long they need it for retirement, I would get that one. So that's 2 retirements, and I would still have the 401k, which would have been the TSP that had rolled over. So I'll be raking in some serious money come retirement. I don't have to touch any work. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure we all noticed that there's more and more people are having to work longer and longer in life just to keep up with bills. So yeah, you don't want to right now, being young, spying all this stuff and not planning for what's ahead, because that is an issue. That will be an issue. I'm not blind to that. I do have all these knickknacks, but even in this nonsense you see here, I am trying to, I'm not stupid with my money. A bit silly sometimes, but not stupid. So do plan ahead. Do plan to save. Put as much as you can into the savings plan. If you're in thrift, put in as much as you can, and the government will match up to 5%. You can put as much as you want in there, but only 5 will be matched. If you're in the traditional, you can still invest. I forget what it is if it isn't a thrift at all. But I think there is one for traditional retirement packages. Either way, go strong for that 20. It's a great retirement. But either way, we're proud to. I'm proud to serve around amongst you. We're proud to have you. That's also a good point. The last broach, I guess, talking about money wise, is buying things are good, they're great, but remember that kind of a point that I touched on to before. Life isn't just about trinkets. It's not just about knickknacks and games and dolls and figurines and comics and books and all of that. It's about what you get out of it. The people who remember you, the things that you did, the legacy that you leave behind. So don't worry too much about filling that empty void if you are in that position, somewhat similar to me, where you're away from everybody in a place new and foreign to you, maybe in another country. Look out to do stuff around the community. Look out to get your name out there, some recognition. look to enrich yourself. I have a whole list here. Let me see if I could pull it up for you. Since I moved in, can it zoom in on that? No, it can't, because it's a giant LED phone. I'm stupid. But I have a giant list here of there it is, of things to do in this city and abroad, in California in general. A lot of which are, activities for me to go do, painting and stuff like that, things to learn, so I could while away the time and make new friends. And then I have other things, volunteering, not a lot of which that I actually knocked out at the beginning of me coming here, but there are always things that I'm looking forward to do, and some of that isn't even written on the phone, but like going to a soup kitchen, donating blood, food drives, giving away clothes, they're helping out the homeless, the elderly, volunteering at an old folks home, etc., etc. Look into doing some of that, even if you don't want to. Get out of your comfort zone. That's what you'll feel. Kind of like if you've ever seen, not to be again nerdy, but if you've ever seen that Justice League movie that came out last year, there was a part where Batman was talking to the Flash, and he told him, because he saw him, he was getting nervous, and he was like, the Flash is like, what do I do? And Batman's like, just go in there and save one person. Get in, grab somebody, get out. And then Flash is like, okay, and then what? And then Batman's like, you'll know. And then he left. And that's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie, because the Flash grabs that person, and then he's like, all right, this is what it means to be a hero, So the Flash got that. He understood his calling, the meaning. He knew that he was a part of something more. And you will get that feeling from one. You should be getting that feeling every time you put on the uniform and go to work. But you don't want to come back home and then forget why, Going out in the community is like, oh yeah, I'm a part of something bigger, And then when I am done, even if I'm only in this state or country for a few years before I PCS somewhere else, people will remember me, and I will remember them. It's a lot more endearing than the stuff that I have. It's the memories that you will cherish, and the ones that you will make with your friends and family, that you will take with you after your military career. So you want to build up on those, not the physical stuff. You're not even going to have space for all of this, and you're going to hate it when you have to move and box it all anyway, but you can't box that. You already got ahead. Side note, I love that smooth cut. That's pretty much it for this episode. It was just, again, a money thing. I do want to briefly touch upon, and I say briefly, Lord knows how long this will go, but I do want to touch upon another video that my good friend Finnerty, Lieutenant Finnerty, posted over at the Air Force Officer. I think he said it was their second episode in regards to the packing list for OTS. I don't think I did an in-depth, if at all, discussion about this, and I won't take away from his video. So I'll only give a few pointers. Here it is, pointers on it, and then I'll link it in the description. And I do suggest you do watch it, because unlike me, his videos have background music and intros and all of that, so it's a lot more entertaining. And I'm hoping to do some collaborations with him soon anyway. So hey, Finnerty, if you're watching, plug. But yeah, those are, and again, sorry, I'll be talking to mainly OTS cadets, recruits. I assume it will be similar-ish to enlisted side personnel. Air Force Academy cadets, your list is going to be different, because you're going to be staying there for way longer. And who else? ROTC, it's part and parcel. You're not going to be there at all. You're going to be dorming at the college dorms, or you're going to be going back home, so you don't really need something until the tail end anyway. But there will be a time where you have to. I think you still have some form of training after ROTC prior to shipping out. But I digress. I'm not sure, so I can only speak personally about the OTS side. When you leave, or before you leave, they will give you a packing list of what to take with you to OTS, and it'll have everything itemized with the required amount and the recommended amount. At least I believe that's what they had for us. And it'll be stuff like, like underwear, socks, soap, towels, shoes, and then the military, the ABU gear or whatever uniform you will be required to have at that point in time, PT outfits, the accoutrements, ribbons, ribbon racks, and all of that. I do strongly suggest that you look over that list, and if you can, you get the help of somebody who had gone prior to you so that they could go and reinforce what you will and will not need, because that list will, depending on where you go, the seasons will not be the same, right? So for me, I went in winter. It doesn't snow, or at least it did not snow in Montgomery, Alabama, but it did get bone-chillingly cold at times, and it got blisteringly hot at others. So if I had only brought the shorts for PT when it came time to running, I would have regretted it if it was at those 4:30 a.m. runs and it's like 20 degrees out and you're shivering. Or if I didn't have any of the gloves or the jacket, well, you'll need the jacket, but etc., etc. Conversely, when you don't have everything packed prior to you going there, you will have, and I think I touched about this in another video, you will have the opportunity to go to their base exchange, which is the clothing store, to buy what you didn't get or don't have. But everybody who is there will be going there the same, like within the first 1 or 2 days at almost the same time to just go buy stuff. So you're gonna have 100 to 200 to 300 people just funneling in, and you're gonna fill your rucksack and your bag with all this stuff. You're gonna march back. It is a hassle. I felt really stupid that I didn't come with much of anything. But I know I touched on that before, and I don't want to take away from this video. So what I will suggest, though, is that don't be too overzealous. I know you're going to want to be gung-ho and make sure that you're on top of everything, but if the list says 6, think about if you need the 6. For one, piggyback off of, again, somebody who had either been through it, enlisted or officer, but think about it rationally, right? So if there's only 7 days in a week and you intend to do laundry every week, you don't need like 14 pairs of underwear. Maybe 1, 2 to 3 extra, but you don't need that much, because the reason is everything that you bring with you, you have to standardize meticulously across your flight, squadron or wing. It could be whatever, wing or squadron rather, but it could be whatever the cadre decides. It could be whatever your group commanders for that, I think it's weekly, would decide. So say you bought those 14 pairs of underwear, now you have to fold them, which means when you do the washing, you have to take that much more time to fold that much more stuff. There are people, not myself included, I kept my stuff in the storage because they don't allow you access to that storage like every day. I think we only had access to it a few weeks the entire time, the weekends rather, or like sometimes. But there were people just throwing their stuff away because it was so much faster to get rid of it than to have to keep either finding some place to hide it so nobody could find it, and then when room and dorm inspections come, it wouldn't be taken against you, or to have to spend all this time folding it and making sure it's neat, because every time you leave that dorm room, it has to be inspectable. So you want to make sure that whatever you're packing is within reason. Suggestion that I did get from one of Calgott's earlier videos, I believe, the toothpaste that you get, you want to get not the tube, not the giant ones, but the ones kind of like this. This isn't a toothpaste, of course, but you want to get the ones that that you can stand, because you're gonna have them in a medicine cabinet in the bathroom, and they're going to be standardized from like height, size, from tallest to shortest or something like that. You want to make sure that you're not always fidgeting, or the thing's going to fall, and then you get a demerit for that. So you want to make sure that your soaps or whatever, your things can stand. And then think about how you are and what you may or may not need, because there might be things that you need that isn't on that list, like Lysol wipes, some form of medication, but I think you have to carry it with that, depending on the medication, of course, and so on and so forth. But again, jump too much, I'll link that video in the description. And if you have any questions on that or something else that you want my personal take on it or whatever, please feel free to leave a comment and I'll jump on that. But the biggest point I can tell you is don't bring a billion things, because it will only negatively affect you. There's only 5 days in a work week, and the cadre members may have you do something on Saturday, but Sunday is usually the day for you to recuperate, to get ready for Monday, to do, to study, things like that. So don't plan on, like, you know, going crazy on that. And not to mention that coming in is going to be difficult, because the more stuff that you come in is the more stuff you have to carry around before you can drop it off and then go acclimate. But then when you leave, like when I left, I had to bring a printer, a billion teas, so many like underwears and shaving creams and razors. I had just all this extra stuff, almost wheezing. There was no space in my car when I was done, so be careful on that. But yeah, that was it. Thank you for bearing with me. If you have any questions, again, please feel free to leave a comment or send me an email, asagbro, that's ASAGBRO, at gmail.com. Shoot me up on Facebook, again, Ayodeji Asagba. There's only one. AYODEJI, and then last name ASAGBA. Look me up on Facebook, shoot me a request. Or again, comment. Please like, favorite, subscribe, share it around. The more people I can help, the better. I want to, again, itemize these videos towards you. Those of you watching who are about to serve, again, thank you for your service. And if there's any other question or issue or something that you're worried about that you want me to cover, do let me know, so I can make sure that you don't have to go through what I and others did, where you were trying to get a mad dash for information or somebody to help keep you calm. Because it's scary, but you already made it. They selected you because you made it. Remember that, and it'll pass. This too shall pass. Really good quote. Please also, if you're on Facebook, look up the Air Force Officer. That's a group that my friend, again, Lieutenant Finnerty, runs. I'm in there as well, so you can shoot us a tell if you want anything. Or other than that, yeah, keep us posted. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe, everybody on the East Coast. And yeah, have a good one.